This woman up here on the left, she nails where we are politically right now. And where are we politically right now? We are pretty deeply divided, guys. I'm not going to lie. We are pretty deeply divided. We have a man who is a sexual abuser and has a bunch of criminal indictments and has really had a long history of being toxic in every possible way. And he's got a devout group of people that celebrate him like he's a goddamn Jesus figure. And they will ignore every bad thing he does and say that it's made up and that it doesn't count and that he's the only person on the planet that is capable and is going to do good. And they will celebrate people's fear, people that are afraid of the harm he's going to do. They will laugh at those people and celebrate the power they think they have over them. And yet, simultaneously, they're all like bent out of shape because now some people are saying, you know what? Fuck you, cult members. We're not going to hang out with you anymore. We're not going to talk to you at Thanksgiving. We're not even going to invite you to the house. We're going to sever our relationship. We're breaking up because you voted for a rapist and a guy who wants to fix immigration by having a hit squad and concentration camps. And that is not a baseline that we're going to accept. We'll do a great many things to fix the immigration problem, but you know what? Sending the army in to root out undocumented people and to round them up and put them in concentration camps and hold them there like animals is something we will not do. That is a baseline we will never agree to. And the fact that you've decided you're going to agree to it is like, wow, you're dead to me now. Like, fuck you. Dude, I don't want to hang out with anybody who agrees with that. Concentration camp is not a strategy. It is an inhumane overreaction. That's what it is. It's a power grab and an inhumane one. And that's not another side. If you think it's okay to be inhumane, then there's no point in talking to you. Because that means you'll be inhumane with me too. If you decide I'm as bad as the immigrants one day for whatever reason, because, you know, I don't believe in your religion or I don't believe in your sexuality or I have different political beliefs. If you could take somebody who like crossed the border and decide that they don't need to be treated humanely, what's stopping you from one day deciding that I don't need to be treated humanely? Nothing. If the baseline isn't humane treatment, then you are never going to be trustable to me. And I think that that should be common sense. If you can be inhumane to an undocumented immigrant, you can be inhumane to me. All you have to do is decide that I've done something as wrong as that undocumented immigrant, and I will get the inhumane treatment as well. So you're a threat. The minute you start deciding inhumane things are okay, you are, in fact, a threat, and you will be treated as such. So that's where we're at. They're all mad now, and they're kind of adopting this posture of like, what are you going to do about it? You, we won. We have a mandate. We won by a landslide. It was 1.4%. No mandate, no landslide. It was barely a win, and Trump didn't even win the majority. He won the plurality, but more people in this election voted for not Trump than for Trump. So that's the setup. I'm telling you right now, this woman nails the entire MAGA movement.
I hate you stupid liberals, you demon rats. You stole an election. Queer people exist. Let's send bomb threats to children's hospitals. I can look past sexual assault and his literal crimes because that's better than having a woman lead this country. Stop teaching our kids about racism. It's not real. You're just a snowflake. Trump is the true president, you communist cheats. Immigrants are eating our pets. If you don't support Trump, you are an enemy of this country. Just because we disagree politically doesn't mean we can't be friends. What do you mean you don't want to be my friend? I hate you stupid liberal.
Dude, tell me that's not it, bro. You're pedos, you're groomers, Democrats, you don't support Trump, you fucking hate America, trans people don't exist, immigrants are scum, you guys suck, you guys are horrible, you're fucking degenerates, you're the scum of the earth. And then afterwards, they're like, what do you mean you don't want to be my friend? Dude, she nailed it. It's like, to every MAGA out there, like, seriously, seriously, you've never liked us. You resent the hell out of all progress. This is so fucking true. The grievance is unreal. And now they're crying that, like, oh, you don't want to be my friend anymore. Oh, boo, 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 boo.
It was just a joke. The left get offended so easily. Here is an incomplete list of what offends the right. Pronouns, other people's genitals, same-sex couples, when men paint their nails, drag queens, rainbows, Bud Light, when people say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, books, libraries, Harry Potter, other people near them speaking languages that aren't English, especially Spanish, brown immigrants, vegetarians and vegans, women, especially child-free, highly educated women and women who exercise their bodily autonomy, different hair colors, when women wear makeup, when women don't wear makeup,
both
cats,
sides,
Taylor Swift, masks, mask mandates, when other people wear masks, vaccines, truth, reality, and facts, cities, the green, purple, and brown M&Ms, Disney, the Dixie Chicks, Eminem, Bruce Springsteen, Green Day, when fictional characters in movies aren't white, like Ariel in The Little Mermaid, gun-free zones, not winning elections, atheists, video games, Potato Head, and Barbie.
Dude, everything she did on that list has gotten railed against. And what's funny about that list is we could probably make a list of 500 things that the right-wingers hate about modern America, and it would all fit under their little umbrella of woke. I think a lot of people want division right now because we're very polarized. We have a fundamental problem around our political discourse because, you know, everyone's like, well, it should be okay to have differing opinions. But here's the problem, guys. You can't have any productive getting along with people of different opinions unless you agree upon a baseline. You have to have an agreed upon baseline. For example, you could look at most of our society agrees that committing murder is wrong. So we have an agreed upon baseline. Now, there might be different ideas where some people consider cops killing as murder or soldiers killing as murder. Some people consider, you know, abortion as murder. There's a lot of variations on it. But in general, society agrees that you being mad at your neighbor and deciding to go shoot him for no reason is just fundamentally wrong. And we all agree on that. That is a baseline of like, we're not going to do that. And that allows us to then discuss those other issues. Now, what has happened in American politics is some of our discussions have gotten really fractured. Like, for example, an issue we have right now is trans rights. But the right wing, you can't really commune with them and have a discussion on trans rights because the right wing doesn't even believe trans people are real. The far right people, they think transgender people are not actually real. They think that it is an aberration, some type of mental illness. So you can't even begin to talk about trans rights with somebody who doesn't even agree that trans people exist and deserve to have rights. So that's where we get flummoxed. Because somebody who says men and women's sports, you can't even have a discussion with that person. There's no meeting with them because they can't even acknowledge the existence of trans women. To them, trans women, they believe they're mentally ill men. So there's no baseline. Whereas, like, if you've met some trans women and talked to them and seen them, get to know them, you know that they're real. And you know that they're a type of woman. A transgender woman and the woman that my girlfriend Jenny is are not the same kind of woman. But they're definitely both a type of women. So this is what's hard, is we've hit a point in the political discourse where you can't really have a genuine discussion about trans rights with people who don't believe trans people exist, because they don't think that they deserve rights because they don't even think they're real. You can't have a political discussion about wearing masks and vaccinations when you have people who don't even acknowledge that a pandemic is happening because there's no baseline. You can't have a discussion about abortion rights if somebody can't even see the healthcare aspects of abortion? So what has really happened is some of our politics has turned into a denial of reality. And I believe this is caused by religion, because I do believe that a lot of the right-wing ethos in America is centered around religion, which doesn't have any basis in reality. And that's real hard, because you know that like evangelical Christians, they can be devout and they can be very pious and believe in God, the Almighty, and Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and all that shit. But the fact of the matter is, if you stand in a room talking to them about that, all of their religious beliefs just aren't real. God's not here. Their God isn't going to speak to me. It's like they're living in this thing that is very real to them, but it doesn't exist to some of us that aren't along their belief systems. And yet, they want to take that thing that they can't actually bring into the room with me, that doesn't actually exist, and they also want to give that thing some agency over my rights and morality. Like, for example, I am straight, but if I was gay and there's somebody who's like super religious, they might think that I am a sinner or a demon or dirty or dangerous because of my sexual behavior. But the fact of the matter is, they want to have agency over my behavior. They want to be able to classify what I'm doing as being a groomer or dirty or dangerous or demonic or whatever. But they want to do this based on something that is unprovable, that doesn't actually fucking exist. Like a Bible exists, but so does, you know, this magazine. This is a Rolling Stone magazine right here. This Rolling Stone magazine exists. That doesn't mean that the words in this Rolling Stone magazine should govern how you or I live our life. And it's like the same with the Bible. So we've just gotten really whacked out now, where religion has gotten a little out of hand, because you're allowed to believe in God, but you can't really tell me God is real unless God actually walks in the door. You know what I mean? Like the day that Jesus walks in and raises the dead in front of me, I will actually believe that Jesus exists and he is in fact the son of this deity. But short of me actually seeing Jesus enter the room with me and raise a fucking person whose pulse I have clarified is dead, short of actually seeing that, you cannot tell me that he's real and he raised the dead. You just can't. You can say you think it happened, and you can say you want to believe it happened because it gives you some feeling of morality and safety and comfort, but you can't tell me it's real just because you read about it in a fucking book. And that's the problem. Some people have read a book and they believe a whole bunch of shit in that book is real, and they believe that that book somehow aligns them with the purpose and power of the creator of the whole fucking universe. And they believe because of that, they're like special and charmed and deserve to be able to dictate the morality and what is righteous and not righteous amongst the rest of us. And that is the most arrogant and ill-conceived and out of whack. You know what I'm saying? That is like mind-blowingly arrogant. People are so fucking arrogant and so like out of their goddamn minds that they're literally standing in state legislatures around the country and they're trying to make laws defining who we are and what we are and who we can love or not love and how we can do it and this, that, and the other, and when we can have healthcare and not have healthcare based on their imaginary belief that they have some relationship with this imaginary creator of the universe. And then there's other groups that believe they have relationship with the creator of the universe, but it's different. And all three of the big ones are like warring with each other and fucking killing each other. And it's like, you fucking religious people are out of your goddamn minds. They're just off their fucking rockers, bro. Dude, that is why we have some trouble. with our political discourse, guys. It is far beyond just being able to give air to the other side, right? Like, I can't have a discussion with somebody on the other side when the reason they want to restrict rights is because of the Bible. Because the Bible is not a baseline. It's just a fucking random book, and it's not even the only book. Man, there's hundreds of religious texts out in the world. It's like, come on.
The problem is not people being uneducated. The problem is people being educated just enough to believe what they've been taught and not enough to question what they've been taught.
Oh, did you see that play right there? Think about how that applies to MAGA and even to the religious people that I was talking about in my rant. In America, with the right wing, left wing, right-wingers don't ever want to question any of their beliefs. Yeah, it is the critical thinking. They just latch on to something. You know, transgender issues come up and they're like men and women's sports. And then that's it. That's where the transgender issue ends for them. Transgender issues are just men and women's sports. But they don't investigate further. They don't go, okay, are trans women competing in sports? Are trans women actually men? Or are they a type of woman? Like, let me go look at this. Let me go meet some trans women. Let me go do some research on this. Let's look at the history of transgender people. Let's go back and look at the work they did in the early 1900s in Berlin. Let's go look at the existence of transgender, third gender people in native cultures. Let's learn about this. Let's go meet some personalities and get some experience from transgender people and connect with them and figure this out. But no, they just latch on to that one item and they don't think about it. They don't research beyond it. They just get to the point of where the transgender issue is simply for them. It is and only is men and women's sport. End of discussion. And they've decided that no, there will be no men and women's sports. So therefore there's no more transgender issues discussions. And now they're going to try to limit the exposure of transgender people, all based around that idea of it's men and women spaces, end of story. And that's really problematic because obviously transgender people have been around for thousands and thousands of years. And it's very clear that they exist and there's a long history of them existing. They've existed longer than your Bible has. Hate to break it to you, those of you who read the Bible or the Quran or whatever, the Torah or the Book of Mormon. But so transgender people have been around for longer than all of those things have existed. And if you aren't even educated enough to know that, then what are we fucking doing here? Like, what are we doing? And so that's a problem, though. That's where we're at. Like, you know, look at what happened in this election. We know there's an immigration issue. We know that our immigration system needs to be fixed. One side, the baseline is let's pass some legislation that we can all agree on and try to fix this in a humane way where we can have the workers we need working the very important jobs they do, and people can become citizens of the country and it can be beneficial for everybody. Let's try to figure that out. And the other side is like, no, we're just going to say that anybody who hasn't been waiting online for 20 years to be legal is bad and wrong. And even though they're working jobs and paying taxes, we're going to disrupt our entire economy and round them up like animals in fucking cages and force them to go back. And then they're saying they're going to end the Constitution, birthright citizenship, and all this crazy shit. And it's like, whoa, dude, I don't care what it is. I don't think rounding people up into concentration camps is ever the answer. That's never going to be the answer. That is a non-answer. That will never be the baseline. And that's what we have. Dude, we have two sides where one side doesn't have a baseline. They have no rules on the right about humanity. I hate to break it to you, but America used to be very inhumane, guys. This motherfucking country was founded on inhumane brutality, taking the land from the natives and genociding them, exterminating their food supply, killing the buffalo. putting them in Indian boarding schools, enslaving African people who were brought in boats in chains and enslaving them for 100 years, and then fighting a war to try and continue enslaving them. And then when you got your asses kicked, then they had Jim Crow laws and black codes and all other manners of putting them into the prison system, convict leasing to continue the enslaved thing, segregation, redlining. And after all that shit, and then you went after the gay people, and now it's going after the trans people, and like, sorry, like, f off, man. America is just brutal and inhumane. And that's what we need to change. We need to be humane, period. It starts with a baseline of humanity. And then once we get there, once you accept the baseline of humanity, then we can be friends. But if you don't accept the baseline of humanity, f you. You are in fact the enemy. You will be treated as such. And there will be no coming together and hearing your shitty opinion. If we can't agree on a baseline of humanity, your fucking opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't. It doesn't, because you're just inhumane.